A lot of people have watched the olive oil video, and ever since the same question keeps arising in the comments. Is it actually worth it? And honestly, well, that's a pretty fair question, because I spent a whole day pressing olives and I came away with about 2.5 litres worth of olive oil. That wasn't even that good. So today I'm going to give you the honest answer. Not the romanticised vision, the real one. What it actually cost, what went wrong, what I'd do differently, and whether I'd even bother doing it again. And there's a version of this that all of us tend to imagine. You've got your olive trees in your garden, you pick the olives on a crisp autumn morning, press them the same day, and you're drizzling that beautiful olive oil by the evening over some freshly plucked salad from your vegetable garden. And that version is pretty real, it does exist. It's not romantic idealism. But there's a huge learning curve between that dream and where most of us are starting from. In our first attempt, I had 250 kilos worth of olives picked. The press broke several times. By the time I got it fixed, the olives had been sitting there for way too long, and I ended up having to drive them to a mill outside of Córdoba just to salvage something. And we came away with about 20 litres worth of olive oil, minusing the cut of the mill, because, well, they don't do this for free. In the second attempt, the one that you've probably likely watched, and if you haven't watched it, I'll pop that up for you now, the one we filmed, we pressed about 20 kilos worth of olives, and we came away with about 2.5 litres worth of oil, and the taste wasn't great. So why did it not come out right? Well, that's what I wanted to get into. Because the mistakes that we made are actually really easy to avoid once you know what they are. The pressing mats that I'm using are handmade from a natural fibre, and honestly, they're great. I actually prefer them over plastic, but there's a catch. Natural fibre has tannins in it, and if you don't soak those mats properly, repeatedly, until the water runs out completely clear, those tannins leach into your oil. And that's exactly what happened in our attempt. It affected the aroma, it affected the taste, and it's such an easy fix. In preparation for next season, I've soaked these pressing mats many times, each time for about 12 hours, until the water started coming out crystal clear and there was no tannins coming out. Clean water means clean oil, free from unwanted aromas coming from your pressing mats. This next one is a bit embarrassing. I painted my entire press, including the plate, a day before we decided to press the olives. 3 coats, thought nothing of it. When I took the mats away after pressing, the mats had been pressed into that paint under that 20 tons of pressure. The oil that was coming out of those olives was briefly touching that painted surface on the way out, and you could taste it. Metallic, slightly chemical. The fix is simple. Don't paint your pressing plate. Use a stainless steel food grade dish. Something like a paella dish. Cut a little hole in the side, weld a little flute on it so that the oil can run out cleanly. Stainless steel is excellent. It'll not impart any undesirable flavours or aromas to your oil. That's what my plan is before the next season starts. The olives that we picked in that video, a friend of mine picked them about 2 weeks before we actually got around to pressing them. And ideally, for the best quality, you want to be pressing your olives in the same day that you pick them. At the very least, within a day or two. The longer that they sit, the more they're going to oxidize and lose that fresh aroma. You're going to lose that nice peppery kick that really gets you at the back of the throat with a good quality extra virgin olive oil. The colour is still beautiful. Ours came out looking such a nice, amazing green, but the flavour just was not there. It's like picking tomatoes and leaving them in your kitchen for 2 weeks before you're getting around to eating them. Well, they're still tomatoes, they're just not them tomatoes from 2 weeks ago. So I actually was visiting Priego de Córdoba not too long ago. And if you don't know it, it's one of the best olive oil producing regions in the entire world. No exaggeration. They've won more international awards than I can count. And I got talking with an expert taster right in the town who had a shop selling a lot of different olive oils from that region. He also makes his own olive oil, and I was telling him about all the growing pains I was going through, everything, the mats, the painted plate, my press breaking down in the first season. And you know what his response was? He just laughed, nodding in agreement. He says it's all part of the process. All his friends who also produce their own olive oil have all gone through the same growing pains. And honestly, that did feel pretty good to hear, because it's really easy to feel discouraged when you're starting out and everything seems to just be going wrong. But it's through those mistakes where we really learn what makes good oil. Which brings me to the question that everybody wants answered. Let's talk about the cost first, because this is where a lot of people get put off. To set up a small home olive oil production, basically a decent mill, a press, the mats, the basics, the nice to haves like a drum that mixes the oil before to help you to get a higher yield. You're looking at somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 euros. That's about $1,700. Price obviously depends where you live in. If you search around, if you look for second-hand gear, you can reduce that cost a lot. But that's kind of more or less the ballpark of the upfront cost. The mill that I'm using is made by a Spanish company called Gahe. It's a wet and dry electric mill, 3 horsepower, 1400 RPM, stone grinding wheels for olives and wet produce. It ground through about 20 kilos of olives in under 10 minutes. And it's a real solid bit of kit. So back to the question, 1,000 to 1,500 euros, is it really worth it? Well, here's how I think about it. Me and my wife use around 20 to 25 litres of olive oil yearly. If you've got access to olives, even just a couple of trees, and you can press properly with good technique, with fresh olives the same day, you should comfortably walk away with 3 to 5 litres of oil for every 20 kilos worth of olives. On a good year, from a decent picking session, you could produce enough oil to cover your whole year. And this isn't the supermarket stuff. I've heard from a lot of people, in the US especially, a lot of what gets sold as olive oil over there is adulterated. And I saw this myself when I was last in the UK. In England, I was in a supermarket, they were selling an olive oil, and I picked it up, and I was looking at the back, and it was about 15% olive oil, the rest was canola. It's cut with seed oils. You're paying premium top dollar, and it's not even olive oil. If you have the ability to make your own oil, you know exactly what is inside that product. And how awesome and magical is that? Well, you tell me. But honestly, it's not all just about economics and what is the most cost effective. There's something that's special when you're there pressing your own olive oil and it starts coming out, that beautiful green golden colour coming, mixed in with the water, funneling down the collection tray. You can't quantify the value in that. Well, you can, it's 1,500. It's satisfying in a way that's hard to explain. You made this from the olives that you've picked. And that's what's going into your food. Not everything in life has to be justified by numbers. So if I was starting out from scratch with everything that I know now, here's 6 things that I would tell myself before I got started. First, get the mats right before you even start pressing them. Prepare in advance, soak them and keep soaking them and don't rush it. Second, a stainless steel collection plate. A paella dish will work fantastic. Don't paint anything that might be in contact with the oil. 3, press your olives as fresh as possible. The same day if you can, maximum 2 days. 4, make sure that you press the olives in a warm room. Cold oil doesn't flow well, it sticks and it'll stick to your mats. I had a radiator going on in the background for that reason. You want the temperature at least to be around 25 degrees to keep things flowing. 5, give yourself a day. Take your time, enjoy that experience. Don't try and rush it. And 6, don't skimp when buying your press. Like I did, I bought a second-hand press trying to save some money. And by the time I paid the reparation costs and the extra steel to go in it, I probably could have bought a proper press with the 20-ton jack included for probably half the price. Buy cheap, buy twice, as they say. As for the next season that's coming, my focus now is to get that collection plate sorted. The mats are ready to go. I'm also still looking into whether I can try and get the Gahe mill and some other equipment available with links for people living in the US and the UK, across Europe, because I know a lot of you have been asking for that in the comments. So I'll keep you updated on where we are with that as I know more. So, is making olive oil at home worth it? Well, yeah, it is, but go into it with your eyes fully open. Do it right and don't rush your setup. And when it works and you get the experience, and you will get the experience if you don't quit, well, there's nothing like it. If you've had a go at making your own olive oil, let me know in the comments how it went. And if you've just started out and you've got questions, drop them down there too, I'll read them. If you want to see the full process of making olive oil from start to finish, then, well, the video will just pop up for you now to take a watch next. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next one.